Hey, good Friday afternoon. This is Curtis coming back to you. This is our second installment of Guitar Basics. We're going to go over, do a quick review of what we went over last week. And we're going to practice on the chords that we learned, and we're probably going to throw another chord in the mix today. So first things first, remember when you sit, you probably want to have a chair that is armless, because the arms do get in the way of the larger guitars. Posture, you want to have your back straight, and the way you want to hold the guitar is this part of the guitar here on your knee. And keep the guitar straight up and not lay down like this to where you can see everything. I mean, you can look at it for a moment to get your fingering where it needs to be, but then when you start strumming, you know, we need to have the guitar upright. We'll go ahead and get tuned up. So if you're not in tune, I'm going to go ahead and tune my guitar, and you can just kind of follow along, and I'm going to say the names of the strings as we go down. I'm going to start with the number 6 string, which is the thickest string up top, and it's also the E string. I'll get a little bit closer just in case y'all can't hear good. Remember, when you're tuning your guitar, you always want to be tightening the string and not loosening it, because if you loosen it and it's in tune, the first time you hit it, it'll go out of tune. All right, so that's your low E string. Give everybody a second to get that in tune there. Then we're going to go ahead and go to the A string. It's also known as the number 5 string. That's what your A string should sound like. And remember, always tighten when you're tuning. You know, if you're a little sharp, or if the note's a little higher than what it needs to be, back it down below where it's in tune, and then start tightening it back up to get it into tune. So we're going to go to the D string, or your number 4 string. All right, so that's your D string. And that's actually just a little sharp. That's what your D string should sound like. So we got E, and we have A, then we have a D, now we're going to go to the 3rd string, or the G string. So that's what your G should sound like. Then the next string, the second string, is the B string. And that one there is in tune. That's what your B should sound like. And then your number one string, or the very bottom string, is also the E string as well. And that is what your high E string should sound like. All right, so if we just strum all these strings open, this is what your guitar should sound like. All right, so another review, your numbers of your fingers. Of course, your index finger is going to be your number one finger. Your middle finger is your number 2. Ring finger is number 3, and your pinky is number 4. This comes in handy, of course, when you're looking at your chord scales. The first chord we looked at last week was the E. We're going to go ahead and practice the E chord, and also along with position our fingers where they should be for the E chord. We're going to practice on a little strumming as well. Kind of back up here so you can see what I've got going on here. If you have your chart there, or your chord diagram, number one finger is going to go on the third string of the first fret. Your number 2 finger is going to go on the 5th string on the 2nd fret. And then your number 3 finger is going to go on the 4th string, 2nd fret. Let's see if you can. That's the kind of sound you should be getting with the E chord. And what we're going to do, there again, if your hand starts cramping or your fingertips start hurting, please don't hesitate to take a quick break, shake it out, because it's going to be a little uncomfortable at first, but you'll start developing calluses on your fingertips, which will help when you're actually putting a chord together. But my wrist even, it hurts a little bit when I play for an extended period of time. All right, so getting back to the E chord, if everybody has that one together there, we're gonna strum, just downstrokes, and we'll do it 16 times. So I will count us in, and we'll just kind of go slow with it. So 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. And when you strum, you don't have to hold that pick real hard. We just want real smooth movements, with your wrist and your elbow. And you don't even really move your elbow too much. Most of the movement is in the wrist. All right, so the second chord we went over last week was the A chord. And the easiest way that I have found to switch from the E chord to the A chord is simply taking your index finger up, moving your number 2 and 3 finger down one string each. So your number 2 finger will now be on the number 4 string. Your number 3 finger will be on the number 3 string. And then you just place your pinky on the number 2 string. And all those are going to be in the 2nd fret. So it's kind of, my fingers are quite large, so there's not a lot of room. I've got to squeeze them together, to get all of them to fit in there. But to me, that's the easiest way that I've found to go from the E chord to the A chord. And on this one, we do not strum the number 6 string. All right, that one, we omit it when we're strumming. And what you can do, you can literally take and just touch the number 6 string with your thumb, and that just kind of mutes that string. So if you do happen to hit it when you're strumming the A string, it's not going to be, it's not going to be a loud note. It'll be muted. So the A chord, that's what your A chord should sound like. Like I said last week, when you start to strum your chord, let's just pick out each note one at a time. That way, if you do have a finger touching a string that it's not supposed to be touching, you can figure out which one it is and make the appropriate adjustments. Like I had a little bit of buzzing on one of mine. So we're going to start with the number 5 string. See, my pinky is touching the number 1 string just a little bit. That's the sound you want. You want to get all those nice notes to be nice and crisp and no buzzing in them. So once you've got that, what we're going to do, we're going to go ahead and strum the A chord 16 times as well. We'll go 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. All right, let's take a little rest on our hand there. My fingertips are starting to hurt a little bit. So we'll just kind of shake that hand out. Let it relax for a moment. And a good way to, I found, to practice, because all this is muscle memory. Basically it's your brain telling the muscles in your fingers where they need to go. And once you do it enough, your fingers will just automatically go to where they need to go. So let's say you're watching TV or, just sitting down taking a rest. You can take your guitar out and you don't even have to play it, but just take and do a chord shape. For example, the E chord. And just practice going to the E chord. The more you do that, the easier it's going to become. Same with the A chord. Your fingers will know exactly where to go. So if you don't want to, get up in the middle of the night, don't want to disturb anybody, pick your guitar up, you can practice just finger placement for your chords. So what we're going to do, we're going to pick up the tempo just a little bit, and we're going to go from E to A and then back to E. So what we'll do, we will strum the E chord. Let's do it 4 times. Then we'll go to the A chord. We'll strum it 4 times. Then go back to the E chord and strum it 4 times as well. So like I said, I'm going to pick up the pace just a little bit. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. Go to A. 1, 2, 3, 4. Back to E. 1, 2, 3, 4. Back to A. 1, 2, 3, 4. Back to E. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, now those 2 chords are both major chords, or also known as happy chords. And I'm going to show you one minor chord. Really simple. We're going to do the E minor. And your minor chords are the ones that sound a little sad or real bluesy. So basically, if you take the E major shape and just take your index finger off, you've got an E minor chord. I don't know if you can hear that, but it's got that kind of a sadness to it. This is the major, then a minor. So what I want you to do, we'll take the E major shape, all right? We'll strum it 4 times, and then we'll take our index finger off, and then that's the E minor shape. And we'll strum it 4 times, and we'll go back and forth. So I'll count us in. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 2, 3. So we've learned 2 major chords, 1 minor chord, and I want to show you another major chord that goes together with the E and the A very well, and it's the D chord. In the D chord, we're only dealing with the bottom 3 strings, so 1, 2, 3, and 4. The top 2 strings, you don't touch them at all. Those are not strummed for the D chord. I think you should have all right, this is a diagram of the D chord. So you're only actually putting fingers on the bottom 3 strings, strings 1, 2, and 3. So your number 1 finger will go on the 3rd string, 2nd fret. Your number 2 finger will go on the 1st string, 2nd fret. And then your number 3 finger is going to be 2nd string, 3rd fret. Get that a little closer, just in case somebody didn't have the diagram. All right, like I said, there's two X's over the two strings there, and those X's, of course, mean that we do not play those strings. And the O above that one string just means that we play it open, you know, so our fingers aren't touching. It's just an open string. And that just happens to be the D string, the open one. Henceforth, that's why it's a D chord, because that's your root note, is the D note. This is what, let's see if I can get up here to where you can, a little close up here. So you've got your number 1 finger, 3rd string, 2nd fret, number 2 finger, 1st string, 2nd fret, your number 3 finger, the 2nd string, 3rd fret. So that's what your D chord should be sounded like. Like I said, just kind of pick out each note in that chord, just to make sure there's no ringing or you're not muting a string that, you know, should be played. So once you've got that D chord, what we're going to do, we will take and let's play it, strum it 16 times. And these are all going to be down strokes. So count us in. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Now I'm just going to do a quick chord progression. That way you see what this sounds like with all 3 of these chords when they're played together, and how they, you know, interact with one another. You can literally take those 3 chords, you know, and arrange them in any which way you want to, and you'll literally be able to, you know, write lyrics and, you know, put some words to it and come up with your own song. There's thousands of songs out there that use just those 3 chords: the E, A, and D. So, and there's no real easy way to switch from A to D or E to D. There again, it's just going to take a lot of practice, and eventually you know, don't worry about speed, just worry about memorizing where your fingers are supposed to go for each chord and making sure those notes are nice and crisp. And then your speed, you can increase your speed as you know, you further the journey of playing the guitar. So your homework for this week until next Friday, just continue to practice these 4 chords. We have the E, E minor, A, and then D. You know, and just, you know, try your best to go from one chord to the other. And all it takes is, you know, if you practice 5 minutes a day, that 5 minutes will go a long way. And like I said last week, you'll find yourself, you know, you start practicing for 5 minutes, you know, as long as you keep your, you know, your hand loosened up, you know, you'll find that you'll be practiced for half an hour or more, not meaning to, but that's a good thing. You know, because once you really get into it and, you know, learn a couple of songs, it is so much fun just to be able to sit around and play and sing. You know, I love to do it. I don't really play for anybody but myself. You know, every once in a while I'll get together with a group of guys and, you know, we'll play, but for the most part I just love doing it, and it's enjoyable for me. So practice those chords, practice your strumming, your downstrokes. If you want to speed up a little bit, you can. But I suggest kind of just keeping a real slow tempo. That way it'll be a little bit easier for you to go from one chord to the next, you know, and staying in that time. You know, so next week, what we'll do, we'll start working on an old, well, it's old to me, an old rock and roll song by the Trogs. And it uses those 3 chords, the E, the A, and the D. And it's a pretty simple progression. And we'll work on that next week. So until then, you just practice, and we will see you next Friday.